Hollywood and the four corners of the world. You asked for it. Starring Rich Little. Here's the star of You Asked For It, Rich Little.
Thank you and welcome to the only show on television that goes anywhere in the world just because you asked for it. Tonight from France, the Crystal of Kings, a blazing gunfight in the Old West, a wild and woolly armadillo race, a fire-defying feat called the Gap of Death, and much more. But first, the most famous shootout in the history of the Old West, the gunfight at the OK Corral. Now, it lasted 30 seconds, and after it was over, 3 men lay dead and 2 were seriously wounded. We sent our reporter, Dale Haramoto, to Tombstone, Arizona, to relive that day because Kathy Pelzer of Kenner, Louisiana, you asked for it.
The feuding and bad blood between the Clanton gang and the Earps has reached the boiling point. There are scores to be settled on both sides. The Clantons and McClorys, reputed cowboy outlaws, have come to the OK Corral to give the Earps a beating they'll never forget.
We don't want any guns. We're just going to beat up on them.
Wyatt Earp, Deputy U.S. Marshal, his brothers Morgan and Virgil, and Doc Holliday would seem to have the law on their side. But many of Tombstone's citizens see the Clanton gang as harmless cowboys being bullied by the Earps' own brand of the law. The Earps, too, are ready for the showdown, armed and ready. It's October 26, 1881. We're at the OK Corral, and we're about to witness history in the making.
You men have been looking for a gunfight. Now we're going to give you one.
You men throw up your hands. You're under arrest.
The gunfight lasted only 30 seconds, but when the smoke cleared, Frank and Tom McClory were dead, Billy Clanton was dying, and Virgil and Morgan Earp were seriously wounded. You can see history repeat itself here at the OK Corral 2 weekends a month. The actors who recreate this famous gunfight are members of a group called the Wild Bunch. The gunfight at the OK Corral put Tombstone on the map. These guys keep it there.
All right, we'll kick them out tomorrow.
This is Kirk Douglas. And in the movie, I played Doc Holliday. And Doc Holliday was a dentist. And if he didn't drill you full of lead, he would shoot you full of Novocaine. Coming up next, a wild and woolly armadillo race. We'll be back.
And now back to Rich Little.
Meet one of the strangest athletes ever produced. He's an armadillo, and he's trained for one of the most unique contests in American sports, an armadillo race. Now, we sent our reporter, Alana Davis, to Uvalde, Texas, to cover the greatest animal race since the tortoise nosed out the hare. Because Grace Sparrowhawk of Tampa, Florida, you asked for it.
Uvalde, Texas is about an hour and a half out of San Antonio on the way to the Mexican border. For a long time, Uvalde's only claim to fame was that it was the hometown of John Nance Garner, Franklin D. Roosevelt's first vice president. But then along came the Armadillo race to help put Uvalde on the map. The man who dreamed up the race was Enrique Vasquez, a local restaurant owner.
We were talking again, let me tell you, drinking some beer, and I said, well, why don't we do something exciting? Let's go on and catch some armadillos. And initially, what we did, we formed a circle, about 15 feet diameter, and this is how the armadillo that we get out of the circle first would be declared the winner. And we did this just for excitement, really.
Weeks ahead of time, the armadillos get in shape for the race at secret training camps. Extra precautions are taken to keep the location of the camp secret. Our You Ask For It crew was blindfolded and led to one camp at the edge of town. The complete training regimen was not divulged to us, but we were permitted to see just a few of the vigorous exercises and top secret training techniques. The good citizens of Uvalde prepare the armadillos for the race with the same enthusiasm as racehorse owners. The little animals are given colors and silks, and in some cases, saddles. Owners and trainers pay a $2 entry fee and register their armadillos. If they were unable to round up an entry, they can rent one from Budget Rent-A-Dillo, which is what we did. The entrants are examined by the track vet and given a health certificate to compete.
Cinco de Mayo by Big League. Cinco de Mayo quickly out of the box and now the DST safety is coming back. A little one DST safety on the left side. And the guys on the track, DST safety collision in the middle of the track. The JCs are still have out that forward. First save is known by the left railing. First save is known by Sheldon to have the winner.
Normally, when a horse wins the Derby, he's put out to pasture. But in this case, the winners and the losers wind up in armadillo chili at the Vasquez restaurant. But this little guy is going to be back to race next year because Grace Sparrowhawk, you asked for
it. This is Ricardo Montalban. You know, I used to race armadillos on my ranch in Mexico, but I had to give it up. It was too hard to find a jockey whose legs were short enough. Isn't that true, Tattoo? The plane, boss, the plane. I think it was a plane. You know, we witnessed a number of death-defying stunts on You Ask For It, but none quite as memorable as this hair raiser from the golden 50s. And here to tell us about it is Jack Smith.
Thank you, Rich. Back in 1955, Jack Wilson was a stunt cyclist and a skater and had earned the reputation of being the most fearless man on wheels. Now, in response to a request from one of our viewers, he volunteered to recreate a feat that had killed the daredevil who had originated it. Now, when you see him hurtling down toward a wall of fire, you'll understand why it's been called the Gap of Death.
A breathtaking feat called the Gap of Death, performed by Oscar de Ariel in the year 1908. Now, this hair raiser began from atop a tower 2 stories high. From there, de Ariel roller skated down an incline which sloped to a wide gap alive with flames. We had this huge structure reproduced at the same spot, Mr. Harrell, where your father, de Ariel, once performed, the famous Ocean Park amusement pier at Ocean Park, California. Every eye is on Jack Wilson as he gets those skates on. Now, with an ordinary sprinkling can filled with gasoline, the bed of Excelsior will be given a thorough soaking. These men, of course, are experts in preparing this flaming inferno. But as added precaution, the fire department is standing by. There's the signal. Now they'll start the fire. Hope they haven't built that fire too big. He's ready. And there he goes. He fell. But he's okay. Now the magic of slow motion shows you this tremendous feat again. The gap of death, Mr. Harrell. You asked for it.
Jack, have you ever done anything dangerous like that jump through the hoop?
As a matter of fact, yes, I have. I once got carried away in a Mexican restaurant and ordered a taco with extra hot sauce.
Listen, I know, Jack.
I'm sorry.
Coming up next is the world's champion sword swallower, whose daring act of swallowing 5 swords at one time leaves no room for mistakes.
And now back to Rich Little.
Father John, you think swallowing 1 sword is a tough trick? How about 5? And how about 14 coat hangers? Well, Count Desmond is one of the greatest swallowing artists in the world, and you're about to see him do that and more. Here's Jack Smith with the story, because Harry Creeley of Indianapolis, Indiana, you asked for it.
Count Desmond likes to start off his act hot, very hot. But in spite of his dangerous profession, he's still a gentleman. Now, this may look easy, but looks can be deceiving. The Count says those are 1,400 degrees. Well, after warming up with the fire, Count Desmond now cools off with cold steel. In one swift gulp, he easily swallows a sword. 1 sword is child's play for this man. 3 offer more of a challenge. The Count uses surgical steel swords that are not sharp. They would be impossible to swallow if they were. And now he's ready. Okay, that's 3. So how about 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The Count's record is 13, but when he said it, he was seriously injured. 1 slip and his stomach could be punctured. And he does it, 5 swords at once. Now for some of Count Desmond's hang-ups, coat hangers to be exact. He has the world's record for swallowing 13 swords, but today, especially for You Asked For It, we'll see him attempt to swallow 14 coat hangers. Now, this stunt is difficult and very, very dangerous. "14 coat hangers in 1 gulp. And we're seeing it because you asked for it.
This is how it goes out. 14 coat hangers. That is a remarkable feat. Or I mean throat. And a hard act to follow. I mean swallow. I hear his next trick will be 14 coats, pants, and hangers. What do you want to see? Death-defying feats, fascinating people and places, astounding animals? No matter what it is, challenge us to find it. Just write to You Asked For It, P.O. Box 1980, Hollywood, California, 90028. The Crystal of Kings, world-famous Baccarat crystal, collected by emperors, tsars, sultans, and American presidents. Our reporter, Tony Thomas, went to Paris to find out why this work is so highly priced and so highly praised. Because Mrs. N. Baldez of Molersport, Ohio, you asked for it.
Rich, have you ever drunk from a glass that cost $600? I'm here in Baccarat, France, about 200 miles outside of Paris, and it's here that they create what's known as the Crystal of Kings. Glass blowing is just one step in a long, artistic process. We are watching the creation of a crystal goblet in the hands of some of the world's finest experts of the glass blowing art. The methods used have changed very little since the factory was founded in 1817. These highly skilled artists have served a 10-year apprenticeship, with many of the jobs handed down from father to son for 4 generations. But this is not the end of the journey for a Baccarat goblet. Here, the standard is absolute perfection. Almost 40% of everything made is rejected. This engraver has spent 40 years perfecting the talent enabling him to create a glass fit for a king. For nearly 200 years, Baccarat crystal has graced the tables of kings and queens, czars and sultans, and even American presidents. So widely acclaimed are the artistic creations of the Baccarat factory, it must be the Rolls-Royce of the glass world. Most of us may not be able to afford Baccarat crystal, but then we don't have to worry about breaking it either. This is Tony Thomas reporting from Baccarat, France, because you asked for it.
This is Foster Brooks. There seems to be a flaw. There's no booze.
Rich will be back in a minute with more of You Asked For It. And now back to Rich Little.
Oh, we get so many great but crazy letters. Here's one from Vicky Torzelli of Wappingers, New York. It says, Dear Rich, I know our requests are silly, but maybe you can come up with something. I would like to see a chipmunk on roller skates. I think we had didn't we have a chipmunk water ski on the show? I think we did a long time ago. And my 6-year-old son would like to see a turkey tap dance. I told him these things were silly, but thanks a lot and keep smiling. Well, Vicky, turkey tap dancing, I mean, that's ridiculous. I've seen a turkey dressing. I've seen a turkey trot. But I've never seen a turkey tap dance. I mean, that would be silly. Anyway, that's all the time we have tonight. See you next time on... You Asked For It. Good night, everybody.
John Harlan speaking. You Asked For It is a Sandy Frank production.